Welcome to the Transformational Storyteller Podcast. The stories we tell ourselves and others shape the lives we lead. I'm your host, Dara Lise Lyons. My guest today, Paul Isenberg, has a phenomenal story of hope and healing and using a time of tragedy and adversity to create something beautiful that helps so many people. So I will not tell you too much about his story. I'll let him do it in his own words, but suffice it to say, Paul is an inspiration, and we are lucky to be able to hear him and see him and get some insight into how to use something terrible to create something beautiful and full of hope.
So we started bringing hope home. Really, it goes all the way back to 1983 when I ran into Nicole Mikowski, my late wife, on a bus stop at Westchester University and completely was taken by her. It took me 4 years to get a date, and we got married in 1991, had our first child in 95, and then she became pregnant with our second child in 1997 rather, and wasn't feeling good and was struggling, breathing, and we thought it was a cold or it was allergies, and what it really turned out to be was stage 4 Hodgkin's disease. So here she is, 9 months pregnant, and has this awful cancer diagnosis, and our world was turned upside down. So we realized that how lucky we were with family and friends and flexible jobs, and she was able to be at home and be a full-time mom to the kids, and she went through 6.5 years of treatment. And during that time, we felt loved and nurtured and comforted and taken care of, but we found so many people that weren't. And that really just didn't lay well with Nicole. So she said to me, go start an event and invite people you like, because you're always complaining how you don't see your great guys anymore. So we started this event called the Great Guy Dinner back in 2001. And then after about 8 years of doing the Great Guy Dinner, we became our own charity. And what we do is we pay bills for families with cancer and let them know that they're loved and let them know that we're here for them. And we don't help patients, we help families. Those families belong to us. We pay their rent, mortgage, utility, car payment, food, whatever they need to really get through. And then we do different events that they know that they're part of a bigger group that we affectionately call Hope Nation. And we have people to baseball games and sporting events and cultural events, and if they need counseling or they need clothing or food made or something special, that's where we try to really come in and help. And it's been a beautiful, wonderful experience for me. I have the best job I've ever had. We've now helped over 5,300 families in the last 10 years, and we're expanded to not only the greater Philadelphia area, but now into Baltimore, Pittsburgh, North Jersey, New York, and Connecticut.
There's nothing like getting back up after life gets you down. And our show sponsor, Just Strong, recognizes that. Just Strong is a lifestyle and clothing brand for women, and their motto, their symbol is the squat. And what they say about the squat is it's not so much what gets you down, but the ability to get back up that's important. So if you would like to take advantage of a 10% discount, which is available to our show viewers and listeners, go to www.juststrong.com and enter the coupon code DARALYSE10 at checkout for your 10% off. That's DARALYSE, the number 10, and you'll get 10% off on any of their amazing offerings. Paul, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm really touched and inspired, and I can't wait to tell our listeners and viewers more about you and the incredible work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, before we dive into bringing hope home, I really want to know a little bit more about why it took you 4 years to get a date with your first wife.
So I always tell people that I got to live the full college experience at Westchester.
Okay.
I got to play football. I went to school, worked, had a really good time, and my late wife was a really good girl.
Got it.
And she knew enough people that knew me that She was much smarter and better judgment, so she wanted nothing to do with me.
Got it. So you had to work against your reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And what finally won her over?
I don't really know. I think, to be candid with you, I got $500 cash from my parents in 1987 as my graduation present.
Yeah.
And my best friend and I, who was our best man at our wedding, Tom Nichols, we were at the local establishment, and I had been there a long time.
Okay.
But fortunately for me, her boyfriend at the time had been there longer than me. So he was less coherent, and I had like $1.50 left over from the $500 and offered to marry her right there and take her away with this $1.50.
Wow.
So
okay.
how can you say no to that?
Right, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, you've come a long way from $1.50
God, I hope so.
now. Yeah. Well, and tell me more about what the early years are like, because I know bringing hope home is all about taking hope from that really tragic experience of losing your wife to cancer. But what was it like being married? Because it seems like it was sort of very quick that she got sick. So what was it like kind of prior to that?
Well, before she got sick, it was great. She
Yeah.
was great. A lot of energy. She had a light within her. Yeah. She was a great mom. She was a great wife. We had a lot of fun. She was very well liked, very popular, very sweet.
Yeah.
She gave a lot of herself all the time. And when she got sick, she was a stay-at-home mom, thank God. Christopher was 22 months when Gabby was born, and Gabby was an infant. And she, when she got sick, started with chemo. She was treated at Penn by Dr. Kevin Fox, who is on our board, who's the best.
Okay.
And Penn was great, and there was just so much going on. It kind of penetrated the entire fiber of the household, right?
Oh, how could it not? I mean,
yeah. And then when the first stuff didn't work, then she went into another chemo, and then another chemo, and then radiation, and then she ended up going to NIH in Bethesda, National Institute of Health in Bethesda. And if you looked at the 6.5 years that she was in treatment, it wasn't every day,
right.
but it really beat her up. Really beat her up. And we had so much support, like my mother-in-law, who still volunteers at the charity at 80 years old.
Wow.
She would live with us. And then my sister-in-law, who was moving back home from New York, she would live with us. And we had so many people reach out to us, at school and church and neighborhood.
Yes.
And there was this unbelievable outpouring of wonderfulness. The one thing I did learn, to answer one of your questions, is tough times are really tough. And I call it the suck factor. It just sucks.
Oh, yeah,
it's just hard, right? Yeah. But it gives so many people in your life the opportunity to do great things, and you don't expect it. And what we saw, and I've been lucky enough to get remarried to a wonderful woman, Miriam, who went through her own cancer challenge.
Yes.
And if you choose to look for it, there's so much goodness out there. Yeah. There's so much. And we would have people bring dinners that we didn't even know.
Isn't it
so many people step up. They do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really look at our business, the charity business, we raise money in a lot of different ways, and then we pay the bills directly. But our job is to really give people the opportunity to give the way they want to give. Right. Not everybody can write a check.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're helping us by this. This is your give, right? So we're open, and we want to help everybody give the way they want to give. And what it did for me was it showed me that you hear all about the bad, right? Yeah. Everybody talks about the bad. Yeah. But we're in the business of delivering hope. We're in the business of letting families who are in a bad way, a lot of times by themselves.
Yes.
Our families range from one person in the family to 17. Right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times what happens when Amy or Judy, who run our family office, call the families that we're going to help, they're like, hey, we're with Bringing Hope Home and we're going to pay your bills. What do you need? And there's usually like this 5-second pause. Wait, who are you? And how do you know me? And you don't know me, and you're going to take care. Well, and that's kind of the payoff for us.
And how do you find family? Speaking of that, like how does a family kind of find out about you and take advantage of the services that you offer?
So what happens is the social workers know us. We're in about 100 hospitals across our whole area, and the social workers nominate families to us the first business day of the month.
Wow.
And so families can go to bringinghopehome.org and read about how to get nominated, but they have to go to their social worker.
Okay.
Social worker is the vetting for us.
Right.
They have to be in active treatment, and there's the social worker knows what that means, and then they have to be in our area.
And so the area that you serve is it the like Greater Philadelphia
Yeah, it's
area?
Greater Philadelphia, so we define that as Philly, Chester, Montgomery, Bucks, Delaware counties.
Okay.
Up into Lehigh and Berks County because of some hospital relationships. South Jersey, Cherry Hill to the shore, the state of Delaware. And recently we're now in Baltimore through an event in June. We're in Pittsburgh through a college club at Robert Morris University. Wow. And because of our relationship with some sponsors, we've gotten money for North Jersey, Southern Connecticut, and Southern New York. Which
is just so phenomenal. When I was 8 years old, my favorite aunt got leukemia, and she was sick with it for 9 months, and we went to the hospital like every day and visited her. And luckily my mom was one of 10 kids, so everybody could pitch in and help and give money and food and put people up. And I mean, it was horrible. It was horrific watching her get sicker and sicker, but the love and the outpouring and all of that was amazing. But some families, I mean, you know, they just don't have the resources, financial, emotional, like at all. So what you do is just tremendous.
Well, it's not just what I do. We have a team of 6 full-time, 2 part-time, and a army of volunteers and contractors that work with us. And you know, when we first started, our first year was 2008. We raised $125,000, mostly from the dinner, Great Guy Dinner. And then we helped 10 families that year. This year, we'll raise $2.3 million and help 850 plus families.
Oh my gosh, which is just phenomenal. And so tell a little bit more about the Great Guy Dinner, because I read about that, and so I want to kind of know how
the Great Guy Dinner came about really because I would come home to Nicole. I was working full time and home, and I would come home and say, I ran into Dara Leese today. She's such a great guy. I call everybody a great guy. Because she's such a great guy, and I haven't seen her forever. Or I ran into James, or I ran into Zach, and I haven't seen them. They're great guys. And Nicole was, 5'1", and tiny, and she's like, I'm kind of sick of you complaining about not running into your friends anymore. So how about you put together an event? We've worked really hard. Tim Sherry's our co-founder with me, and both of us have a pretty robust network of people that we worked hard to become close to. And she goes, why don't you just invite whoever you want to a dinner, raise money for a charity, and you can call it like the Great Guys Dinner. That's how it started. It's not like only men.
Right.
In fact, at Bringing Hope Home, there's 2 men. Everybody else is a female.
Yep.
And so I don't have any say at home or at work.
Okay, got it.
And then the families that we've helped, 70+% of all the families that we've helped, the woman of the family is sick. So we changed our name to Bringing Hope Home just to avoid any conflict. That was our tagline. And now we bring unexpected amazingness, and that's actually trademarked. And that came about because we surveyed our 300 or 400 families at the time. Yeah. And we asked, what are your top words to describe how Bringing Hope Home helped you? And unexpected and amazing were the 2 top.
Which just really says it all, because I mean, if the social workers are the people who are nominating and letting you know, then the families have no idea that it's coming, and so they just get this gift out of nowhere, and I think that's such a miracle.
It's wonderful, and we probably cry regularly, weekly at the office in good ways, or we lose people, and that's always hard. But we get to know the whole family. Right. We try.
Yeah.
We try.
Yeah.
And again, not we, Amy and Judy, who run our family office. And what's starting to happen now is we're starting to get stories of people that we helped from random parts of our world. So my wife Miriam and I were in Florida, and we're sitting at the dinner, and this woman comes up and she goes, "Oh, you're the guy from the charity. You helped my friend." Or I was at a coffee shop the other day, and the woman says, "Wait a minute, your organization, we adopted a family through you guys for Christmas."
Oh my gosh.
So we're starting to get that all coming back to us, and it really validates. We're at over 5,300 families. We'll cross 6,000 families, I think, this year since we started. And that's what drives me.
Yes.
I remember somebody said to me a couple of years ago, your wife Nicole would be so proud of you. And I said, I really appreciate that. Nicole's how we started from our legacy. But we've now helped people to the point where it's more about them. And it's, to me, what, you always wonder what gets you out of bed in the morning, right? And I have a beautiful wife and lovely kids, and I was blessed to have Nicole. I've been blessed to marry 2 women that are way outside my league. I really have. And, we each had 2 children coming into marriage. Now we have 4.
Right.
And they all get along. They're all close. They're, as my wife says, they're perfectly imperfect.
Yes.
But there's a lot of love, and we value, like, to be candid with you, we were driving here today, we got in an argument, and it was, but it was my fault, and I said, I'm sorry, and, I want to value that time, and, I want Nicole to be proud of me, but there's about 10,000 families newly diagnosed every year in the greater Philadelphia area alone. So if we help 850 families, that means 9,150 families aren't getting help.
Right.
And that's what drives me. I want us to be at a place where it's, how can we help 5,000 or 10,000 families a year? We'll help 1,000 families a year next year.
Right.
I've already,
which is, that's just tremendous.
It's exciting.
And I love, you keep saying, family, which I think is like the emphasis on family. And you mentioned that you remarried a wonderful woman, and I'm going to be interviewing her as well. And I just really get the sense that like the feeling of the collective is so much more important to you than the individuals.
I mean, if you knew me, anything good I've done is not by accident. God's good to me. He put good people in my life. I work my rear end off, but I'm very limited. For me,
we all are very limited.
But I'm really limited. Just trust me. If you lived with me, you would understand. But I believe that I'm where I'm supposed to be. I believe I'm where God wants me to be, and He's brought unbelievable people from. My team is the best team I've ever worked with. Our donors are phenomenal. And like I said earlier, our job is to link up our donors and how they want to give to the families that need it.
So if someone is like watching, listening, whatnot, and they do want to get involved and they want to help, can you talk a little more about how they might do that? And also, can they do that? Let's say they're not in the greater Philadelphia area. Can they still give? Can they still be a part? So
absolutely. So it's bringinghopehome.org. We have a list of events that people can come be a part of. In May 2nd is our Great Guy Dinner this year, June 13th in Philly.
Great Guy, but open to everybody. Open to everybody, yes.
June 13th is our Baltimore Great Guy Dinner. June 29th is our Sea Isle 5K. They can go to our website. We have an events page, a volunteer page. You can email me off of that page. So they can go and they can do all that.
And they can give money. They can give of their time. They can give food and like there's
not food.
Not food.
We don't take food. We can get gift cards.
Gift cards. Okay. Perfect.
And the one thing that I didn't mention is we don't give the family money. We actually get their bills. And we write the checks directly to their bills.
Which I think is really very important and helps donors to feel like, okay, if I want to pay someone's, let's say, light bill or whatever, I'm actually paying their light bill. The money is going to what I want it to be going to.
And the only thing that we will give is grocery store gift cards. So Acme Markets is a big supporter of ours, but we give all of them.
Got it.
And we actually, for every dollar we spent, last year, we got $1.23 in value. So we try to lower the bills before we pay them.
Which is so important.
And again, not me, our family office.
Your office is. And speaking of, families, I want to hear a little bit more about what it's been like to blend a family now in your life, coming to it with 2 kids from your first marriage, 2 kids from your wife's marriage.
I met Miriam, my wife now, 14 years we've been married. New Year's Eve is our anniversary, and we met at Little League Baseball.
Okay.
Our boys are 3 days apart.
No way.
So they just both turned 24 this past week.
Okay.
And I was coaching Christopher, my son, natural son, and Mick was there, my new son, and Miriam was talking to 2 friends of ours, and I went over to say hello to the friends, and they introduced us, and Miriam had recognized me because I actually had played football with her late husband at Westchester. And she said, "Oh, you went to West?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, I said, who's your husband? She goes, Mike Horrocks. I go, "Oh, I remember Mike telling me." I said hello. He's a little bit older. But Miriam, Nicole, and I graduated the same year and never knew each other in college.
Okay, so she didn't know your reputation, so it didn't take you 4 years to get a date with her?
She did. Okay. I guess it took me, I don't know, a lot longer to get a date with her. But,
really? Okay.
But it turned out that we call them God winks. So her roommate dated my roommate, my housemate, for like a year, and we never met. Her best friend from college was my good girl buddy in college that we never knew. There were all these near misses, and I always joked if either one of my wives really knew me in college, they would have never married me. So when I walked away from meeting her at the baseball game, I went to Nicole, who was there, who was with our other child, and she said, well, what's wrong with, she had a bandana because Nicole had lost her hair, and they told her the story. So then fast forward to when Miriam's husband passed, I had heard about it because I was part of a football alumni group. I went to the service and, you know, kind of kept up on them and you know, told Nicole about this tragedy that befallen Miriam and her family. And then when Nicole passed in '03, the same people that introduced us were working on the house. He was a contractor, was working on Miriam's house at the time, and told her. So she came to the funeral, and then we started having lunch and just getting together. And then one day I woke up and I said, man, I really care about this woman. I actually went to our grief counselor because it was less than a year after Nicole passed, and I said, I'm kind of scared because I'm having feelings for this woman, and I don't want to put my kids or her kids or her through something that's not real. And she explained that Nicole had been sick so long that I'd probably been grieving a long time. So we kind of started dating, and which was really difficult. We had a neighbor
difficult probably, and also
logistically,
and,
well, just logistically it was different. So our kids were young. Our kids were 9 and 8, 9 and 7, and Krista was probably 11 at the time. And we had a neighbor who had a son who had just graduated college, and thank God he was living home because he would babysit.
Oh my gosh.
Or my mother-in-law would babysit. And then we started spending Sundays together. We'd make dinner and do something with the kids, and then we got married. And we always joke if we had realized how tough it would be. I don't know that we would have done it. I'm definitely not worth it. But we had, you know, we pray a lot, and you know, Miriam and I really share faith. And our look at family, and our look at how precious each moment is. So we have a lot of fun. And you know, the kids have their own junk that they're dealing with sometimes, and it's been good. I mean, we were both married for 12 years. We both lost our spouse. We both, but you know what? Like I said, you got to kind of be open, and it's been one of the best and most exhausting things we've ever done.
Oh, I bet. Well, and it's, you know, to me, just your life is such a testament for transformation, right? Like the person you are in college is certainly not the person you are now.
I wasn't like the worst guy in college. I wasn't the best, but I wasn't the worst.
But you know, like the losses, the gains, the relationships, the grief, the making amazing things happen for people on a regular basis, and I just think all of it is so, you know, just so profoundly meaningful to me. And I'm sure that, you know, there are moments that are not, but I'm really inspired. And I do want to ask a couple more questions.
Sure.
I wanted to ask, like, what ways do you keep Nicole's legacy alive? I know, you know, Bringing Hope Home kind of keeps that alive and keeps it alive on a family level, but are there any personal things that you do to?
So if you go to our website, again, bringinghopehome.org, there's videos that have Nicole prominently featured, and there's things in the office that have her. We got to take her, she died in August of '03. We got to take her to Rome in May. Before she passed, she was blessed by Pope John Paul II. So there's a big picture of that in our office. And I think that if you look at our company, it's kind of like when I look at my kids, I see Nicole. You know, and their humor and their zaniness. And when you come to our office, hopefully you feel that energy that she had, and that uplift. So I think that by our values at Bringing Hope Home are integrity, family, creativity, fun, accountability, and I think that is all probably stemmed from Nicole at some level. Plus my mother-in-law, like I said, she's there once a week and
which is
teasing
so
me.
Great.
Oh, she's the best.
That you can have that, and that she volunteers for the organization, and she's the one you said she's like 80 or
yeah, she's 80.
Yeah, and she's just still going.
She was the first person we gave a house key to when Miriam and I got married.
Wow.
She's very open and loving, and all of our family is. My mom's great, and everybody's been great.
Wow, that is a great family. If you can give your mother-in-law a house key, and
we didn't give it to our house; we gave it to somebody else's house. So, no, just kidding.
Just like here, we hope maybe
it'll work.
Symbolic gesture. Yes, may you never come in. And then, I like to ask all of my guests, because I believe that every story, every really inspiring story, great stories have some sort of moral or theme, just as you look back over your life, if you had to impart some sort of theme or lesson, like what do you want your life to stand for in that way?
I think for me, you have to put God first in your life and be open to what he wants you to do, because everything that happens to you, good, bad, ugly, everybody's got something.
Yes.
Everybody's got tragedy, sadness, heartbreak, great.
Yeah.
How can you use that to do what God wants you to do? If I didn't want to lose Nicole. I didn't want Miriam to lose Michael.
Right.
If I could put it all back, I would. But I can't.
Well, yeah, and you would put it all back, and yet these thousands of families that you've helped, they wouldn't have that help if not for your experience.
And I always call it, I got a PhD in caregiving, right? And so how can I use that to help other people? That's, there's so much that you can do in life. There's so many things you can accomplish in life if you do it for the right reasons. And I think that's, how about you? What would you do?
What would mine be? Well, I think in terms of like my motto or my lesson for my life, I think it would be about something to the effect of like being authentic. Like, I think most of my quest in life is to figure out how to be really honest and stand in my own truth and be authentic. And I believe, similarly to you, I have an immense spiritual life and a relationship with a higher power. And I feel like part of me being able to live that out and live out my purpose is about being authentic and true to, not just, true to myself, but true to who God wants me to be in the world. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Well, please tell people again, how they can connect with you. I know we've said it a couple times, but I just want to reiterate, and they can connect if they are a family who might need hope. I know they have to go through a social worker, but they can find out more and maybe bring the info to their social worker. And also, if someone wants to donate, if they want to get involved, if they want to volunteer. So
they can go to bringinghopehome.org. They can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. It's BHH Philly or Bringing Hope Home or Hope Nation on different handles. And you can donate monthly, you can donate corporately, you can get involved in adopting a family at Christmas, you can sponsor an event. It's all on our website. Great, and we will put links to that in our show notes so that people can really get connected. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Oh my gosh, this was so great. I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate you. Thank you. And thanks to you guys. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. Great. What Paul and his team were able to create is phenomenal and inspiring. And if you have a team of people or you're working individually and you want to be able to get connected with an innovative, dynamic co-working space, I highly, highly recommend Kismet Co-work. I'm a member at Kismet Co-work. They have 3 different locations throughout the area of Philadelphia, and they offer member events, networking. It's a really great way to feel less alone and to feel connected and to be way more productive. I am so much more productive since I started working here at Kismet Co-work. And they have generously offered 15% off to your first month of Kismet Co-work membership. So if you want to find out more about that, go online, take a tour, get connected, go to www.kismetcowork.com and get connected with them. And be sure to mention this podcast for 15% off your first month membership. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Transformational Storyteller Podcast. As always, thanks to our episode sponsors, our production team at Rebel Hill Consulting,
And of course, many thanks to you, the listener. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're creating stories that empower you and inspire others.